What's your story, Vancouver?
What's your story, Vancouver?
What's up, Vancouver? Today we got David Morin. He's here in our office today to discuss his music career.
My story is that I am a musician, I'm an artist, and I'm more of a lifestyle artist, meaning that I kind of live my life at the terms of my art. Wherever my heart and my creative mind goes, that's where I'll go, usually at any cost. So that's just my philosophy on life. I've played music all over the world. Most of the time you can find me busking. It's street performing. It's my favorite thing to do. I get a chance to interact with the people on the ground and tap into different cultures all over the world. And I wouldn't trade that experience for anything in my life.
Where are you from, David?
I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia. I was born in New Westminster. I was raised in Surrey.
You mentioned that you do some busking. How long have you been busking for?
Probably be my 11th year playing on the street.
What are some countries that you've busked?
I've been to, with the help of my dear friend and manager, Navbinder, I've been to India, Spain, south of France, and Cannes, been to Austin, been to London, St. Petersburg in Russia, and all throughout the United States. So I've played, I make a point of busking in every location I go traveling. It's usually like the reason I like to travel, but yeah.
When did you pick up your first guitar, and do you just play guitar, or do you play anything else?
Yeah, so I play guitar, I play a little bit of keys, a little bit of drums, but like mostly guitar. I'd say I'm more of a vocalist though. Kind of use these tools just to kind of write songs and do production and, you know, record and perform and stuff. So I'm not like super tight at anything. I'm just like generally okay at everything.
Great. When did you discover you had a good voice? You got an amazing voice, by the way.
Thanks, man. You know, I always loved singing. I remember like being in grade 3 and like getting kicked out of class for like constantly humming. So I think it was always a thing. I didn't know if I was like good. I don't think I really had that concept yet. I was just like singing. And my mom was a singer-songwriter, so she would be having like rehearsals and stuff, and I was always around it. So subconsciously is in there. And I think like it's kind of made me have a better ear, I think. Just being surrounded by it, you know, your environment kind of shapes you. I think around like, as soon as I got into high school, I started playing guitar more, I started to really find my voice. Like I found my genre of music that I really like to listen to. Like when I was younger, I would just listen to CL 650 and it would just be oldies all the time, and I loved it. Like I loved Elvis. I just remember hearing Go Johnny Go for the first time and just freaking out. Like I was like 6 or 7 or something like that, and I've always loved that kind of music. And Motown too, and like grew up on Stevie Wonder, and like my mom listened to mostly soul and R&B and a lot of pop music growing up, so it makes sense why I like that kind of music and I chose to go that genre.
Well, it's good that that's your roots, because those are deep roots.
Yeah.
And I found when I listened to that music, I went deeper. Like I listened to the Stones or Zeppelin or Eric Clapton. Mm-hmm. Who influenced those guys, right? And then,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I like to branch out in other genres, I like tons of different music. Like I like blues, rock, jazz, like soul, R&B, hip hop, underground, like some techno, like electronica, like it's all over the map really. I just like a good song. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like when it boils down to it. But there is that like, there's some of that indoctrination when you're younger that you just can't really shake. You know, I remember being in high school and it'd be like, yo man, are you a homie or a skater? You know, and you could look at somebody and be like, I know you're a homie and I know you're a skater. And I think that kind of like stays with us into our adult life to some degree, you know.
Well, I can definitely hear that in your music, your influences, and
cool.
Yeah, staying up late at night and listening, you know, to the radio and the oldie stations. But growing up, was there anybody else that you looked up to musically? Yeah,
I mean, back in the day, it was like we didn't really have the internet, so we had the local radio stations, which pretty much played only top 40 and a lot of like Canadiana and stuff. And you know, I'd be like every once in a while, like I'd go to my uncle's and they had like BET, you you know. And I'm like 13, discovering Tupac for the first time, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Fell in love with like rap first, actually, now that I think about it. But yeah, I had to get like CDs and mixtapes from my friends in Seattle because we just couldn't get anything, you know. Or if you were like close enough to the border, you get like an American channel, and it was like, oh my God, it's so fuzzy, you could barely hear it, but you're like, yeah. So like when I first started getting into R&B and finding like neo soul music, it was like when the Soulquarians, it was like D'Angelo, like Raphael Sadiq, Jaguar Wright, Jill Scott, Erykah Badu, like the Roots crew, like all of those guys. That's when I really found like that sweet spot for me personally. And I just kind of rolled with that forever. Then I got more into like and like Jay Dilla, of course. I didn't really realize how much he had done in that time, and all this like all the like hits that you've heard, it's like it's mostly him, like in the like 90s, late 90s, 2000. Yeah, crazy.
Can you tell us how you got discovered here in Vancouver?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess just discovered is such a funny word because like I just kind of like, you know, every Friday night there's these guys that go out on the corner at Granville and Robson at 9 o'clock, and they got the shirts that says you're going to hell or something, and the preacher guys, you know. And everybody knows who they are, you know. They might not really like them, but you can pretty much put me on that same level of exposure in the city, because that's pretty much what I did, if not much more. I'm out on that same corner for the past like 8 years. So that would probably be how and where my exposure came to fruition.
That's how you develop your style. I guess that's how you develop your sound, your work out all the kinks, I guess, right? Like
yeah, totally. I mean, I apologized to Vancouver for the first like 3-4 years of that. Like the worst amp, like the shittiest, I'm gonna swear. Yeah. Alright, I had the shittiest little amp, the TVM 50. This battery powered little thing, but it has like no low end, and I'm like beatboxing and like, you know, just really trying to figure out how to perform, and at everyone else's expense. So sorry, Vancouver.
Now your style, you loop your music, and then all of a sudden you're fiddling with that sound or this beat, and the next thing you know, you got a full-on band behind you, or
yeah. I mean, looping isn't a new concept. It's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
But I think now it's becoming a little bit easier to like, yeah, but like companies are making stuff. It's a total thing now.
Now, do you have a mentor? You know, do you have someone you look up to that you can like ask, how do you do this? What do you recommend? Or
yeah, you know, like I have like, as far as like looping goes, my friend Chersey. Check out Chersey Music. She's a phenomenal loopist. Alex Marr, like he's actually the first person I ever saw use a loop pedal the way that I really like resonated with, you know, like, you know, a lot of people when they're looping, they'll be like, okay, this is like a 16 bar loop. It takes them 16 bars to do the first like bass line, and then it goes back and does that again. It takes forever, and they're adding so much, and it's just like, it's not the focus. The song isn't the focus. It's like this performance thing that's the focus, which I get it. Like, and I do that sometimes too, but like this guy just knows how to compose a song from start to finish using 4 bars and like limited resources. And like, that's like, I was just blown away. And he does an open mic night at the Anza Club on Ontario and 8th every Thursday. And that's pretty much all it took for me. Like when I moved to East Van, I wasn't doing music. I was painting. I was doing like oil paintings because I was taking this break. And then my friend was like, I was just man caving it hard, like wine every night, smoking cigarettes, like just painting in my pajamas, like full beard. And my friend's like, dude, you need to get out of the house. Yeah, let's go, like, you got to check out this guy. He really reminds me of like your style and stuff. You should check him. She finally dragged me out, my roommate, and yeah, I saw Alex playing, and he was beatboxing and looping and playing the sax. Like, the man's just like so insane. And that was it. I was like, I'm turned on to music again. I want to do music. I don't know how to do it, but I'm just going to do it. So I just would go to open mics, like every open mic I could find, and found a lot of mentors along the way. Just like in that room specifically. But before that, big inspiration for me was my friend Omar Khan, who like I was in a group with, like a band, like when we were teenagers. And that's when I first got into music and kind of, you know, being like, wow, you actually have like you have potential here, you know? And I met up with him and then my friend Jenna, and we were writing songs and working on an album, and didn't really come to fruition, and it left a bad taste in my mouth, so that's why I started painting. And then, yeah, went to the Anza Club, and that all changed. I met a bunch of people. I met my manager, Nav, I met Sean Dimitri, I met Randy Ponzio, Tanya Aganaba, like the Boom Booms. Like, there's so many people in this city that under like high pressure, just to like survive in this city is really hard as an artist. To like be able to find your way in this city is like, it's an achievement, you know, and it takes some thick skin, you know, and being comfortable with not having your way a lot.
Well, how would you describe the music scene in Vancouver? And
it's awesome. There's like there's so many talented people, and like I think culturally Vancouver as a whole isn't really ready to enjoy that talent, you know, and it's a young city, you know, but it has a lot of talent, and I find like a lot of those talented people kind of migrate after a while, and I mean, fair enough, you know. I think I'm ready to move too, but I put in my whole life here, so.
Well, so the music scene on the artist side of it is great. What about the other side, the fan side, or just the people coming out to watch music, live music?
Yeah.
How would you describe that in Vancouver? And
Well,
what would
the people
you
the people that love it, they love it. Like, there's some like dedicated fans, man. Like, I'm so blessed. Like, man, it's crazy. Like, it's gonna be really hard to leave this place with all the love that I've received personally just from playing music, and the messages that I get from people online, like saying thank you and just like, you changed my day. I mean, specifically in busking, it's a little bit different than like playing shows and stuff like that. And in fact, I prefer playing on the street than I do like in planned, coordinated like shows. You know, I mean, I still love performing, don't get me wrong, but like there's something really unique and special and very honest about playing on the street, because first of all, it's like people don't realize that they're part of the performance, you know. Like, I'll be playing out there and there's nobody there, and there's maybe a few people watching, but all those people are watching each other. Like, nobody bought tickets to this thing. They didn't like click yes on the event page or anything like that. They're just all there out of circumstance, and I think it's really beautiful and organic. And then what that does, I find, is it just opens up people's hearts a bit, or they feel a little bit more safe when there's a big group of people standing there all enjoying this one thing, you know. And I don't know, for me, I don't really get that same kind of response all the time as I do in a show setting. This is a good example of the famous violinist that played in New York subway. You know, he just sold out shows all over the world, and then they filmed him playing in the subway in New York, and people just walking by, like, paying him no attention, but he's like the greatest. So context has a lot to do with what I enjoy more, I suppose.
Another great example is a clip on YouTube of you in Spain, and everyone starts dancing and singing along. And,
yeah, that's a really extraordinary video. Like, yeah. I'm just. Well, I know I might not have a plan, but I know what I am, and if they give it time, just to let the beat ride, and let the beat ride, then we'll be fine. That really opened my eyes to the rest of the world. I mean, like, I get that a lot here too in Vancouver. Maybe not to this maybe not to the same degree of, like, just felt like everybody was just so open and so comfortable in Europe, you know.
I think too, like, everyone gravitates towards good talent, and look at the clips on Jimmy Fallon does with, like, in the subway. Right. And they wear disguises, and everyone just gravitates, and then they take off the mask, and everyone's blown away that they just saw. Yeah. Miley Cyrus or something. Yeah,
totally. Yeah. Exactly. Just totally messing with people. It's great. I love that.
Even Billy Gibbons. There's a Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top. There's a video of him just circulating recently that He was out busking.
Oh yeah, so who else did that too? U2 guy.
On the Edge, or it was U2 went out with Jimmy Fallon.
Is that that's
Yeah.
what it was?
Yeah,
Yeah. U2. Yeah, I like stuff like that, and like I've busked in the subways in New York, and it's just so raw, you know. And people will come up to you, and they really appreciate it, you know. And I think music is obviously like a huge healing factor for humans, you know. Like even if you're pissed off and you want to hear angry music, that's like a way to emote, you know, without being barbaric and smashing a wall, you know.
Do you consider yourself a storyteller? What's your lyrics? Your
Yeah,
songs
you
usually
know,
about?
yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, like, I'm kind of conflicted in songwriting a bit. Like, I feel like right now I've kind of hit like a bit of a wall creatively because I guess of just my own personal situation in life. But I find that I always gravitate towards stories with great emotion. So usually it's in relationships with your friends or family or loved ones, where sometimes you don't always have an answer for, you know, and like they're more just like questions and expressions of like things that have happened in my life. Or sometimes I just like hear a really sick beat and I just try to come up with a good concept that suits it like sonically, you know. So like oftentimes I'll just like create a composition first and then I'll try to like hear the words in the song. That's kind of a roundabout way of doing it. Some people just like write lyrics first and try to match it to stuff.
Like bands are like that, where like the guitar player will write the songs, and then someone will put the lyrics over top. And
Right. And I'm really into sound versus like sometimes like lyrics and storytelling when I listen to music. Like I'm more into like the harmonies and the arrangement and the changes and stuff like that. Like it takes me sometimes forever to actually listen to the words.
so is that your process? You try to write the melodies and the sound first, and then
I think the instrumentals are just like so important, you know, like the chord arrangements are just like it sets the mood for the story that you're telling, right? So often I'll just say, I'm like, what is this mood like? This sounds so dramatic and sad. So maybe I'll write something dramatic, sad, or sometimes I don't know. I have a song called You and Me, and it's like really upbeat, happy tune, but the lyrics are really like anti-establishment and like borderline anarchist, you know. So it's, I don't know, like it's just really all over the place, to be honest. But yeah, as I get older and I start to grow in life, my writing gets a little bit better, I hope.
okay, where any favorite places to play live in Vancouver?
Yeah,
You had a show recently, actually.
I like playing at Fortune. They got the best sound there, and I love that whole crew. And the Alexander, of course. And I think my favorite, the Fox Cabaret has a great venue. I really like that spot on Main. Biltmore's pretty chill and like kind of underground vibey.
Does Vancouver need more live venues?
Yeah, if we could get like, you know, people to pay bands more money, then it would be better, you know, but it's a DJ world we live in.
Yeah, bands are done by 11 o'clock, where in other places they don't go on till 11.
Yeah, but it's also a symptom of the culture in Vancouver, like I was saying. It's hard to get people to come out,
Yeah.
you know? It's a whole combination of things, and I think as the city starts to grow more and becomes more worldly, maybe it'll get a little bit more bands happening and more shows and stuff like that. But it's not without fail. There's a lot of like on the ground people that are just in communities making like cool shit happen, you know? Like the counterculture is pretty dope. Like that's the thing. It's like in order to like survive here, you get to like work extra hard. It's like, it's insane. And then when you go,
100%.
then I find every time I go to another city, it's just like so much easier. It's like I'll be there for like a week. I'll have gigs lined up, and I'll be like, but I'm leaving, and so that's why I'm kind of like, let's get out of here. It's time to go.
Time to ramble on.
Yeah, anywhere. I don't care. Anywhere.
Any advice for someone in junior high or high school or early 20s trying to break into music, especially in this era? And how important is social media in this area of the music?
Yeah, you know what? I think the biggest factor in pretty much anything that you want to do is your fear factor and your laziness factor. Because, I mean, yeah, you're creative. We're human beings. We were born to create. We have tons of great, beautiful ideas happening in our heads. And sometimes it's really hard to see that come to fruition because of like fear of failure, or like fear that you're not good enough, or like what other people are going to think about you. And then just maybe you can do it, but you're just too lazy to want to actually do it. Because once you make the choice to do something, the ball starts rolling and you're going to be presented with things you need to take action on. And 100%. Sometimes it's really hard to do, you know? Like,
once you make that first step, it does get easier. You still get your nerves and you're shy.
It's like a muscle that you need to exercise.
And the self-doubt, you got to just break through that.
And yeah, totally, because you probably are going to fail. But you're going to get up again, you're going to try again from another angle. And you're going to, and typically if you are that passionate about something like that, failure doesn't matter really.
Failure is good. It's nothing wrong with failing. You learn from your failures.
Yeah, learning from your failures, but also like if you love it enough, your drive should surpass your being your typical starving artist, because you're gonna be hungry. You're gonna have to work at a cafe. You're not gonna be able to have everything you want, and then like you get to a point where like you're should I just go back into the workforce? Should I stay in the workforce where it takes like 80% of my time, and then spend like 30% of it on my passion or my business or whatever it is? I mean, the sooner you can cut ties with that, like, I don't want to sound like people that have 9-to-5 jobs are like stupid, but I'm saying that we all have to make a living somehow. Exactly. But if you want to do something bigger, it requires a lot more work. Yeah. And it requires more than monetary, what's the word? Motivation. It requires like pure passion and love for something. That's the only way. Like you know, you want to do these videos, you know, and you're very super passionate about it. Nobody's paying you to do this, you know, like this is like coming from your creative mind. You want to do it. Like that's kind of what you need to have, is that just belief that it's not about that. It's more about like just your interest in something and wanting to share that with people, right? So the sooner you can quit your job and focus 80% of your time on your shit, the better. It might not be an easy transition, but eventually you'll figure something out, because you're not stupid.
Favorite Vancouver pastime?
Vancouver pastime. I just like going to the beach, man. Yeah. Like, cause my favorite, actually for me personally, is like in the summertime. I go busking down at Sunset Beach, and I'll usually go right after busking downtown, and I'll have like a nice little bit of time to just relax. So I usually get like like a tall can or something on the low, and just like roll out like some food and a blanket. Got my scooter with all my busking gear and like batteries, so I'm like listening to tunes, you know, I just in a zen state, just watching the sun go by. And that's probably my personal favorite like zen moment in Vancouver. I don't really go out as much anymore. I'm pretty much like, I got a cat now. It changes everything.
Top 5 artists or bands of all time?
I think for bands of all time, personally, I love Radiohead. Like, probably my favorite band, for sure. And top 5. Well, I mean, D'Angelo. I love D'Angelo. Like, just love that guy, man. I like Frank McComb, Eric Roberson, Jill Scott, and Erykah Badu. Those are probably my top 5. And, you know, somebody you can put Anderson .Paak in there somewhere. Yeah, Anderson, he's in there for sure. Stevie Wonder. Those are probably my top 6 or 7. I don't know what I said. Yeah.
Thank you so much, David, for stopping in and chatting with us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, man. It's an honor. Thanks for showcasing me on here, man. What's your story, Vancouver? Our city, our stories.
Well, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. And links and information on David's career, where you can find his music, will be in the description below. Thank you.